It has become something we are so proud of, to recognize how many people are just doing what's right to protect other people, to be compassionate for other people, to care about other people, to recognize the depth of this crisis and be there for their fellow New Yorker. That's what everyone should do, anybody, any everyday New Yorker, and especially anyone in a position of authority anywhere in this city, anywhere in this country, should feel in their hearts what New Yorkers have gone through and ask the question, what can I do to help, just like all our heroes do? Well, let me talk today, unfortunately, about someone who did the exact opposite of that, and I was shocked when I heard this. The White House economic advisor, Kevin Hassett. He says, there's talking about the stimulus program, talking about what's needed to get New York City and all cities and states back on their feet. Yesterday morning, he says, well, everything appears to be happening safely, and literally, this is a quote, he says, there is a chance that we won't really need another stimulus, a phase 4 stimulus. Listen to those words. There's a chance we won't need it. Well, let me tell you something, Kevin. Why don't you come to New York City? Why don't you go to Elmhurst Hospital? Why don't you talk to our first responders? Why don't you talk to the families who have lost their loved ones? Or go to the ICUs where hundreds of people are still fighting for their lives. In terms of your desire, which is pretty transparent, to save money rather than to protect people, to risk the future of New York City and this state and so many cities and states around the country, it is outrageous that anyone with a position of authority in our federal government could even breathe these words, because it's disrespectful in every way. It is an absolute misunderstanding of what has happened here and what continues to happen, and the fight we're still waging, and how much it's going to take to get back on our feet this year and next year and the years thereafter. I was disgusted when I heard these comments, because it sounded like the comments not only of a cheapskate, but someone who just didn't care. So I hope President Trump will renounce these comments immediately. I don't know why this guy is his economic advisor if he could say something like that. The president needs to speak up and say that's absolutely unacceptable. Right now, we know in the Congress, intense effort is going on to create a stimulus. Why? Because what's happening in cities and states all over the country right now, red states and blue states, red cities and blue cities, is mayors and governors, unfortunately, are having to cut back more and more, and it's soon going to really affect the basic services we all depend on. The kind of cuts we're talking about will lead painfully, horribly, to furloughs, to layoffs of public sector workers who are the backbone of our cities, our states, the people keep everything going, the people we need even more in a recovery. And here's the painful reality I want you to take in. Listen to these very dangerous comments from this White House official and then translate it into reality. If there is not a fourth stimulus, and if that stimulus does not amply provide for the needs of cities and states this year and next year, then the very people who've been our heroes, the very people who've been saving our lives, those doctors, those nurses, those firefighters, EMTs, paramedics, police officers, the people keeping this place going, the people keep it going all the time, the sanitation workers, the educators, all the people we are depending on for a restart and a recovery, their futures will be compromised. Imagine if the very same doctors and nurses working in our public hospitals, or the very same EMTs and paramedics who were such heroes in this crisis, imagine if, after fighting through this battle, months from now, they had to face furloughs or layoffs here and all over the country. If we don't get help from Washington, that is what will happen. And I'm talking about one place, one city right here already, $7.4 billion in the hole because of a crisis we didn't ask for and we didn't create. Came to us from another place. But all of you have fought heroically through it. I just want to see everyone in Washington show a little bit of respect for what New York City has gone through and so many cities and states around the country have gone through, and just do the right thing and help us back on our feet.